Riverbend was a quiet town where days passed slowly, and people lived simple lives, and at the edge of the town stood a large white house with tall iron gates where everyone knew a wealthy man named Robert Hale lived with his daughter Lily. And even though Robert had more money than most families combined, his home was filled with a deep silence because Lily had not spoken a single word for many years, and people often whispered stories about her when they passed the gates, but no one truly understood what her life was like inside those walls. And Lily herself spent her days reading, drawing, and watching the world through large windows while her father worked endlessly hoping to find a way to bring her voice back. And years ago Lily had been a cheerful child who loved to sing softly while walking beside her mother, but one terrible accident changed everything, and her mother never returned home while Lily survived, and from that day her voice disappeared, as if it had been taken by fear and sorrow. And doctors from far places visited the house one after another saying her body was healthy, and her silence lived in her heart and mind, but no amount of advice or medicine helped, and Robert tried to fill the house with comfort by buying books, art supplies, and musical instruments, but none of it brought words back, and Lily grew older learning to speak through notes and gestures, and her eyes often carried thoughts she could not share, and Robert watched her every day feeling helpless. Despite his power and wealth, and across town far away from the White House was a small garage with a faded sign where a poor mechanic named Sam worked from morning until night, and his hands were always covered in grease and his clothes smelled of metal and oil, but his eyes were calm and kind. And Sam had lost his parents when he was young, and learned to fix broken things because it gave him purpose, and he believed that patience could solve many problems. And his garage was small but honest, and people trusted him because he charged fair prices and never lied about repairs. And one afternoon a black car rolled into the garage making an unhealthy sound, and Sam listened carefully as the engine struggled, and a driver stepped out explaining that the car belonged to a wealthy man, and other mechanics refused to touch it fearing mistakes. But Sam simply nodded because he treated all machines the same, and he opened the hood and worked slowly, listening, touching, and adjusting parts with care. And when Robert arrived later expecting trouble, he found Sam finishing the repair calmly, and the engine running smoothly, and Robert felt surprised not only by the skill but by the honesty when Sam asked only for a fair payment, and refused extra money. And while they spoke, Lily stood nearby watching Sam closely, noticing how he focused on his work without fear or pride, and something about the steady noise of the garage made her feel calm. And when they left, Lily looked back once more at the small garage, holding her notebook tightly as if she wanted to write something but could not find the words. And that night she dreamed of gears turning smoothly and sounds fitting together. And over the next few days Robert found himself thinking about the mechanic and the simple way he lived, and when the car made another small sound Robert chose to return to the same garage, and this time Lily came willingly, stepping inside without hesitation, and Sam greeted them with the same quiet respect. And as he worked, Lily moved closer watching his hands, and Sam noticed her interest but did not speak too much. Instead he showed her small tools and how parts fit together using simple gestures, and Lily felt something new, a feeling of being useful and seen, and for the first time in a long while she did not feel like someone broken but like someone learning. And the garage became a place where silence was not heavy but comfortable, and Sam never asked Lily to speak, never looked at her with pity, and never tried to fix her like a problem. And without realizing it, Lily began to breathe easier, her shoulders relaxing as she helped hold tools and clean parts. And Robert watched from a distance, feeling hope grow quietly inside him because he saw his daughter smiling more often and standing taller. And even though no words were spoken, something important had begun to change, and Lily returned home that day with oil on her hands and a light in her eyes that Robert had not seen in years. And late that night, as she sat on her bed, she opened her notebook and wrote about the sounds of the garage and the calm of the mechanic, and for the first time she wondered if her voice was truly gone or simply waiting for the right moment to return. The days that followed felt different for Lily, and the change was quiet but strong, and each morning she woke with a strange sense of purpose that she had not felt in years. And Robert noticed how she now stood near the door, earlier than usual, holding her notebook and waiting, and when he asked with gentle gestures if she wanted to go out, she nodded without hesitation. And soon their visits to the small garage became part of their routine, and Sam never questioned it because to him it felt natural. And every time Lily entered the garage, the smell of oil, metal, and dust wrapped around her like a familiar blanket, and the steady sounds of tools and engines made her feel calm and safe. And Sam spoke little, but when he did, his words were simple and clear, and he showed Lily how to sort bolts by size, how to wipe tools clean, and how to listen closely to an engine to understand what it needed, and Lily followed every movement with deep focus, and when she helped Sam she felt useful in a way she had never felt before, and the garage became a place where silence was not a weakness but a shared language, and Robert watched from a corner most days pretending to read, or check his phone while quietly observing his daughter change. And he noticed how Lily no longer hid behind him, and how her eyes no longer avoided others, and how she sometimes smiled to herself while working. And one afternoon Sam brought out an old broken radio from a dusty shelf, and placed it in front of Lily, and with slow gestures he showed her where the problem might be, and Lily hesitated at first unsure, but Sam stepped back giving her space, and she carefully opened the radio following his guidance, and her fingers trembled slightly as she worked, but she did not stop, and after some time a soft crackle filled the air, and the radio came to life playing faint music, and Lily gasped without thinking, and a small sound escaped her mouth like a breath mixed with surprise, and she froze instantly, fear filling her eyes as if she had broken a rule, and Sam looked at her briefly then turned away calmly continuing his work as if nothing had happened, and that simple act made Lily feel safe again, and that night at home Lily could not sleep, and her mind replayed the moment again and again, and she placed her hand on her throat feeling the warmth there and wondering if it was possible that her voice had never truly left, and over the next few days more small sounds slipped out when she was not thinking, a quiet hum while cleaning tools, a soft laugh when Sam made a simple joke, and each time Sam acted normal, and Robert noticed everything but said nothing because he understood that pressure could push the voice back into hiding, and instead he showed his pride with warm smiles and gentle hugs. And Lily began to feel stronger inside, as if something locked away was slowly opening, and one evening while having dinner at home Lily dropped her spoon on the floor, and without thinking she whispered a word that had lived only in her mind for years, sorry, and the word was soft but clear, and Robert froze, afraid to move, afraid to breathe, and Lily covered her mouth shocked by herself, and her eyes filled with tears, and Robert reached out slowly holding her hands showing only love and no fear, and he nodded, letting her know that everything was okay, and that night Lily cried quietly, not from sadness but from release, and the next day she returned to the garage earlier than usual, and Sam noticed her excitement and gave her more tasks trusting her abilities, and Lily stood taller and worked with confidence, and at one moment Sam struggled with a stuck bolt, and Lily stepped forward instinctively and handed him the right tool, and without thinking she said his name, Sam, and the sound was real and strong, and both of them paused, and Sam looked at her with gentle surprise, and Lily laughed softly, tears in her eyes, and Sam smiled warmly, and nodded as if to say welcome back, and from that moment on words began to return slowly, not all at once, but piece by piece, and Lily practiced them quietly, sometimes alone, sometimes with Sam, and sometimes with her father, and there were days when fear returned, and her voice hid again, but now she knew it was still there waiting, and Robert called the doctors again, but this time he made it clear that Lily would move at her own pace, and the doctors agreed, saying that trust, safety and confidence mattered more than treatment, and as weeks passed Lily spoke more clearly, and her laughter filled the White House again, and the silence that once felt heavy now felt peaceful, and the town slowly noticed the change, and whispers turned into smiles, and Lily never forgot the small garage where everything had begun, and Sam never changed his ways, continuing his work quietly, never seeking praise, and in his simple, steady world Lily had found something priceless, not a cure, not a miracle, but a place where she was never treated as broken, and that made all the difference. As Lily continued visiting the garage, her world slowly expanded in ways she had never imagined, and each day brought a small victory that felt larger than anything money could buy, and she began speaking more often, though always softly, and carefully choosing her words as if they were fragile, and Sam never rushed her, never corrected her, and never reacted with shock when her voice appeared and disappeared, because he understood that trust grew best in calm spaces, and Robert watched this growth with quiet pride, and he learned to step back, allowing Lily to find her own strength, and the White House that once felt empty now echoed with gentle sounds of life, like laughter, footsteps and music playing in the background, and Lily started reading aloud simple sentences at home, and though her voice trembled she felt proud of every sound she made, and Robert supported her without pressure, often sitting nearby pretending to read while listening closely, and the doctors who visited again noticed the change immediately, and they spoke kindly, encouraging patience and consistency, and Lily felt safe knowing that no one expected perfection from her, and as weeks passed Lily grew more confident in public spaces, and she began speaking short phrases to shopkeepers, neighbors and helpers, and each time she succeeded she felt stronger inside, and the Town slowly stopped whispering and started smiling, and many people wondered what had changed, and Robert always answered with the same simple words: kindness, patience, and trust, and Lily continued learning at the garage, helping Sam with more complex tasks and understanding how machines worked, and she loved how every problem had a solution if given time and care, and one afternoon Sam let Lily help repair a car from start to finish, and she followed every step carefully, and when the engine finally started, she laughed freely, surprised by her own joy and sound, and Sam laughed too, sharing the moment without making it heavy, and Lily realized that her voice felt strongest when she was relaxed and happy, and she began to associate speaking with comfort rather than fear, and at home she started sharing memories of her mother in short, careful sentences, and though those moments were emotional, they felt healing, and Robert listened with tears in his eyes, grateful to hear stories he thought were lost forever. And Lily also began writing less in her notebook, choosing words instead, and the notebook slowly became a place for drawings, dreams, and plans rather than silent communication. And one evening Lily told her father that she wanted to go to school again, and the words came slowly but clearly, and Robert agreed immediately, though he felt nervous and proud at the same time, and he arranged for a small supportive environment where Lily could grow without pressure, and the first day was difficult. But Lily used the same patience she learned in the garage and spoke when she felt ready and stayed silent when she needed, and people around her respected that, and Sam remained a steady presence throughout this change, never pushing and never pulling, simply being there, and Lily often visited him after school, sharing small stories about her day and practicing words naturally, and Sam listened like every word mattered. And one day Robert offered Sam a better job, a larger garage, and more resources, hoping to thank him for what he had done, but Sam declined the offer, gently saying he was happy where he was, and that Lily had done the hard work herself, and Robert respected that honesty, and Lily admired it too, and she understood that Sam had never tried to save her or fix her, but had simply allowed her to be herself, and that realization made her stronger than any treatment ever had. And as time passed, Lily spoke more freely and confidently, and her voice no longer felt like something borrowed or fragile, but something that truly belonged to her, and she began helping others at school, offering patience and understanding to those who struggled, and she learned that her silence had taught her how to listen deeply and care fully, and the garage remained a place of grounding for her, a reminder of where her journey had truly begun, and even on days when her voice felt tired, she knew it would return because it was no longer hiding, it was growing, and Lily no longer feared silence because she understood that silence and sound could exist together peacefully, and she carried that lesson into every part of her life, becoming stronger, wiser, and more complete than she had ever been before. Time moved forward gently, and Lily moved with it, growing into her new life with steady confidence, and each morning she woke with purpose, no longer afraid of her own voice, and no longer trapped by the silence that once ruled her world. And the White House that had felt heavy for so long now felt warm and alive, filled with simple conversations, shared meals, and soft laughter, and Robert watched his daughter with pride that words could not fully express, because he knew the journey had not been easy, and that every small step Lily took was earned through patience and courage. And Lily continued attending school, where she slowly built friendships with people who accepted her pace and respected her boundaries, and she learned that speaking was not about being loud but about being true. And when days felt difficult, she returned to the garage, where the familiar sounds and smells grounded her, and Sam remained the same steady presence, never treating her differently than before, and Lily often helped him after school, fixing small things and learning new skills, and she loved how every machine told a story if one listened closely, and Sam noticed how Lily now spoke more freely, sharing thoughts, dreams, and plans, and though her voice still carried softness, it was strong and clear. And one afternoon Lily stood in the garage watching Sam work and realized how much had changed, not only in her but in how she saw the world, and she thanked him openly, telling him that his patience had given her space to find herself. And Sam listened quietly, then reminded her that she had always had that strength inside, and Lily smiled, understanding the truth in his words. And as months passed, Robert decided to support Lily in pursuing her interests, and she discovered a love for helping others who struggled with fear and silence, and she volunteered at community centers, listening to stories and offering comfort, and people felt safe around her because she truly listened. And Lily realized that her past had given her a gift, the ability to understand others deeply, and she used that gift with kindness and humility, and the town of Riverbend began to change as well. Inspired by Lily's story, people became more patient, more open, and more willing to help one another, and Sam Garage became a quiet symbol of that change, a place where broken things were treated with care rather than force. And one evening Robert invited Sam to dinner wanting to thank him properly, and though Sam felt uneasy he accepted, and the dinner was simple filled with honest conversation and shared laughter, and Lily spoke freely that night telling stories and dreams, and Robert watched Sam with gratitude knowing that true impact did not come from wealth but from character, and later Robert offered Sam support once again not as payment but as partnership, and Sam agreed this time only because it allowed him to help more people and expand his work without losing his values, and together they improved the garage, making it a place where young people could learn skills and confidence, and Lily became involved teaching patience and listening, showing others that growth did not need pressure, and as years passed Lily grew into a confident young woman with a steady voice and a calm presence, and she traveled, studied, and returned often to Riverbend because it would always be home, and the garage remained a place of grounding and memory, and when people asked Lily what had healed her she answered honestly saying it was not money or treatment, but trust, time, and being treated like she was never broken, and Sam continued his work quietly, never seeking praise, and Riverbend remembered him not as a hero but as a man who believed in people, and Lily carried that belief into her future, helping others find their voice in their own way, and the silence that once defined her became part of her strength, a reminder that growth often begins quietly, and that sometimes the greatest changes happen not when someone tries to fix you but when someone simply stands beside you and lets you become whole on your own terms.